We've been researching,
Excellent.
doing our homework, and I'm so excited to talk to you. But the first question is, Damilola, can you tell us about yourself, what you do, and how you got into events?
Gosh. Okay, so my name is Damilola, but obviously people call me Dami for sure. And I when people ask me what I do, I'm always like, what do I do? So I work full time for Nando's, as in like, yes, the chicken, like,
Yes.
staple British brand, best brand ever. So I work for Nando's full time as their event manager. So I basically am responsible for executing, planning, and managing brand events. So that could be festivals, it could be private events for talent, it could be anything really, anything pop up, community initiatives as well. So very much Nando's is a very diverse and inclusive company. So like the events that we do reflect that. So I work on those. And then outside of that, I run my own agency, which is called Dash Events. So running events for entrepreneurs and individuals who kind of like want to get their event strategy off the ground, don't really know where to start, don't really have like massive budgets to employ a whole team, or they don't do regular events to then have a full-time person. So I work with them. So I've worked with a range of different people, a range of different influencers, doing some really, really fun events. So like the Black Awards back in 2018, which was celebrating Black achievement. We've got the Bloggers Marketplace, which is a really cool event, which is like basically where influencers sell bits of bobs from their wardrobe at really cheap prices. So you're getting like, the latest trainers, and it might be a couple designer pieces and makeup and skincare. A lot of it that they get PR that they like, basically won't use. And then recently we worked on a London Fashion Week event with Deana, and Deana are like a luxury e-commerce platform for mainly Black and African fashion brands. So that was amazing too. And then on top of that, I also managed two artists. So Keys the Prince and Dea Soul. So Keys is a rapper and Dea is a singer. So managing them, which has been fun, learning about the music industry. And then lastly, because I'm an absolute crazy woman, I am going to be launching a fashion brand this year called All The Pronouns, which is basically a brand that caters for all individuals irrespective of their gender identity or sexual orientation. So very much about diversity and inclusion, very much about, showing brands how it's done the correct way. And, thinking of clothes as not belonging to anybody, but they should just kind of fit and be comfortable with most people. So yeah, but how I got into events is I didn't study it, contrary to belief. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, she probably studied events. I didn't. I went to the University of Kent and studied politics and international relations. Bit of a nerd. Love a bit of history, love a bit of politics, love policy, all of that. But in my first year, I was the ACS promotions officer. And in my second year, I was actually elected to be ACS president. And ACS is African Caribbean Society.
Of course.
Yeah, just yeah. So that was in my second year. And then when I got into third year, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And obviously you have that moment where you're like frantic. Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And I remember my friends and I sitting in the library like, oh, we'll just do recruitment. Oh, we'll just do HR. Oh, we'll be a lawyer. It was all the traditional routes, right? And I was on the phone to my friend one day and he was like, why don't you go into event project management? I'm like, huh? That's a career? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, my mum is never going to have that. Like, my mum's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I started to look for jobs and I finally found a job with a small agency called Land Links. And that was back in 2014. And here we are 11 years later. Like, well, I say 11 because obviously when I started uni in 2011. But yeah, 11 years later, here we are. Yeah.
I mean, you're so lazy. Gosh, anything. Honestly, what? Oh, I don't even know where to start, what to linger on, what to pick up on. What I will say, I love that when your friend recommended events, you're like, what's mum gonna think? I love that.
What's my mum gonna do? That's it. I was like, what's she gonna say? But no, she's actually been really supportive. Like, she loves it.
Yeah.
She gets me to obviously plan her birthday, like her 50th end of last year. So yeah, she's like the worst client ever.
I can imagine. Mums are always, people always say like, don't ask your mum for critique because they're too nice to you. And I'm just like, my mum is my heart.
My mum will tell you how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't be like, I don't think that's good. I'll be like, my mum's like, no, that's not nice. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, make it nice, Mum. Don't be so blunt. Make it pretty.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that is so true. I mean, I literally absorbed so much from what you were saying. I want to just strip it back to when you started Dash.
Yeah.
What made you go, you know what? I want to start my own agency? Because that's
Like,
hard.
yeah, it's not been easy, because I still work full time. So I've
Yeah.
always worked full time since starting Dash. So I launched Dash in 2018, and it was basic because I was working in corporate
Yeah.
conferences. A lot of the events that I was doing was corporate conferences and exhibitions. And whilst I loved them because it gave me kind of that, there was an element of planning that you won't necessarily get when you're doing birthday parties when you do conferences. There's a lot more logistical elements that kind of need to work with it. So especially like if you've got a conference and an expo, it's like, okay, cool. What are the rooms set up like? Okay, is there going to be sound bleed? Is the exhibition too close to where people are walking in? Where's catering going to be? How are we going to make sure people are spread out? And there's so many different logistical elements that go into it. Whereas with something that's like a party, your element. You know that you need a DJ. You know you need the cake. You know you need a bar, things like that, right? So I was very much enjoying what I was doing, but I felt like I wasn't being that creative. So I was just like, I'm going to start my own agency to work on more creative events because I didn't want to leave my job. I
Yeah.
very much enjoyed what I was doing, but I wanted to broaden my experience in events by doing other events. And I knew that it wouldn't happen at my full time job, just in terms of I was working on the HR portfolio for CIPD. So there was no way, like we might have, like we had one event which was Festival of Work, which was a bit more creative, but how often would that sort of brief come round was going to be very slim. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to start pitching for clients and just see how it goes. And then luckily I got my first client. Which was Jasmine. And funnily enough, we met on LinkedIn, and like I'm such an advocate. I'm always telling people like use it to find jobs.
Yeah.
Because it was one day I was on LinkedIn and I saw the Black Awards are coming, and I was like, what's this? So I messaged her and I was like, hi, do you have an event manager? And she was like, no. I was like, oh, let's meet and chat. And we met up at the Ned, and I pitched, and then she was like, yeah, I want to work with you. So it was just like it was weird how it kind of aligned, but I wanted to work on things that were a bit more creative, things that I could like own and really, rather than manager to be like, can you handle food or can you handle AV? It was like, this was my chance to like manage the whole thing. So that was really what started it. It wasn't like, oh, I want to own my own business and make money. It was more, I actually just want to work on a broad variety of events.
Yeah.
And that's where it was born from. So yeah, that's why I like Dash. Everyone's like, what's it stand for? And it stands for delivering above standards, honestly. So like that's basically what it is. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you said it wasn't just about, being an entrepreneur and starting it for money,
Yeah.
but to take ownership. We do a lot of things that we love for others, but when we do it for ourselves, it's next level. It's just the outcome.
Exactly. Exactly
And
that.
what's your favorite part of working in events then? Because it's,
Again.
I've been on the side, I've been on the sidelines and it is stressful. So when I hear someone like you, there's so much passion coming out of you. I'm a bit like, are you all right? But
Yeah, I get that a lot. I
what do you
do
love?
get like, do you know what it is? I say the end, but I mean as though the actual event. Like I do events because when you see everyone at the event having a good time, nothing's really going wrong. They're smiling, they're dancing, they're joking, they're taking pictures. You're seeing people post like, Reading Festival that we did for Nando's, like recently. There was a guy, he posted a TikTok and he was like, why am I smiling so much? There's a massive Nando's at Reading. And that just was like, that made it all worth it for me. Like the stress, the lack of sleep, everything. It was just like, the people were so excited to see us at Reading. But then it's like, even with the Black Awards, people walked in, they were like, and it's that feeling for me.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that like I had a part to play in that. And a lot of people still reference the Black Awards. It happened in 2018. Like that wasn't yesterday, that wasn't last year. Like people still like that was one of the best organized events I've been to. Oh my god, the food was good. Oh my god, the organization, oh it looked so pretty. Oh my god, that picture's really nice. And it's like the picture that I've got, they haven't aged.
Yeah.
So it's like just knowing that I'm part of a memory or an experience that someone had. It's just it touches me a little bit. Like I'm a big empath and I'm a big like bit soppy. My friends will tell you that. So like it's that sort of sentimental value for me that makes it all worth it. And I think another part of it is like just I feel like with events it's like I get the opportunity to teach myself new things every day. there's not a day I'm not learning. And I love to learn. I'm like one of those like lifelong learners, right? So in events, a lot of people don't necessarily understand how an event manager's role works because they think I'm the person that will do the balloons or put the stage together or get the branding elements such as banners and 3D signs and stuff, right? But I'm not that person. I'm the person that makes sure all of that happens properly. Like I bring it all together. So like I become an expert. Like say for example, you called me today and you're like, Dami, we will not organize a golf retreat. I would have to become a golf expert in a way. So I'm going to call people I know to be like, okay, cool. So golfing as a game, how does it work? And then from there, I work backwards to be like, okay, cool. This is what we'll need. Okay, we'll need buggies to transport people to different holes. We'll need, if we want to make sure our brand is on it, okay, do we get golf club bags that have the event name on them? Do you know what I mean? And that's how you work back. But I have to become knowledgeable in golf to be able to plan the event. So any event I'm given, I have to become knowledgeable in it. So I'm constantly learning. And then it's also like health and safety, insurance, like there's all these other elements as well. So there's like little nuggets of information that I just randomly know. And everyone's like, how the hell do you know that? But it's because I have to pick it up. So I think there's also a part of it that like no day is the same, like at all. With my full-time job, there could be an event pop up tomorrow and it's X, and then another one pops up and it's Y. And things are totally different. But it's that. And I think lastly, it would be like the creativity aspect. Like I get the opportunity to think, okay, how can we as a brand, or how can my business as a brand, or who I'm working for, the client, their brand, how can we bring it to life? Like, what does it look like to people? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? And it's just fun. Like, it is fun. It's very stressful. Like, I think back in 2016, it was voted like top 5 most stressful jobs. But it's a very fulfilling job at the same time. I feel like a lot of people in careers they work in, they don't ever see the end. Like, you might be a part of a bigger picture, which is amazing, and you contribute to it. But I actually get to see the beginning, the middle, and the end. And that's the bit for me. It's like, it's that bit. You round it up quite nicely. You see the smiles, you see the pictures, you see people like reposting them or post them on their page. It's like, and you look at it and you're like, wait, that was why then. Oh my God, that's so sick. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So it's a really nice, it's just very fulfilling. And I can't really describe it in any other way.
Can I just say that your passion is literally using green screen? I literally feel like I'm sitting in person with you. You know how like dry Zoom can be, and it's difficult to. But honestly, I'm feeling how passionate you are. It's just so nice to see someone love their job.
I do. People think I'm mad. Like I'm currently like suffering from some sort of illness. I'm run down. But like people, are like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, it's like I love doing events in every part of me. Like people are just like, you're so sad, and I'm like, well,
No, forget
until I can no longer run around on site and stuff. It's going to be an event for the foreseeable future.
I love that. I absolutely love that. How did it feel in like lockdown phase when like it kind of just the event industry just
stopped? Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. There was a lot of panic. Like from my side, it was like, okay, what the hell am I going to do, right? But then I realized that my skills actually lie in my planning and organization. So the creativity was taken from me because there's only so much you can do with virtual events. And what people tend to do with virtual events is they strip the budget all the way back.
Right.
So they don't think about like sending out like goggles to each attendee and like literally it's AR, VR. And as you walk around your room, you then see the conference. Like they don't think like that. It's more, we're going to do it on Zoom, we're going to do it on Hopin, which are all great platforms. You're going to do it on StreamYard, great platforms, amazing. But there's only so many that people can take. And that's what happened. Like you kind of get virtual event fatigue. Like you hear virtual event, you're like, oh my God, no. So I wasn't really fussed about pivoting Dash to be like a digital event company. Like it just wasn't, people would ask me and I'd give advice and stuff, but I wasn't really too fussed. I got made redundant from Gartner, who was the last company that I was working for. In an events capacity. And then after that, I was like, do you know what? Project management. Like, let's start studying, see what we can do. I've always been good at organizing things, pulling together timelines, just making sure things move along and making sure deadlines are hit. So I have a friend who runs a company called Super Network, BJ Malengba. Like we met 2018 when I launched Dash. So I worked on an event for him as well. And we just kept in touch. And then he was like, oh, actually, I'm launching like a program. I actually need like a program manager. Like, are you interested? And he was like, just a project management capacity, just need you to keep things moving along. And then I was with him for 3 months. Then after that, I got another contract with the PPA because they wanted to do a virtual event. So I helped them with that. And I went to Nigeria and I came back. So it was weird where I was employed the whole time, but I was kind of working on different bits. And I realized that program management is actually very interesting to me. And I've realized that a lot of the events I like to work on are events with purpose. Like they have a reason as to why they're doing them, not just, we're just doing an event, right? It's whether you want to educate people, you want to help people achieve something, or you want to run an accelerator. And like, I've realized that my thing is experiences as opposed to just like a singular event. So, yeah, the pandemic was eye-opening in a way, but it was very much like, oh my God, will I ever get another events job? Like, will events actually come back? And will they come back the right way? And a lot of people like just change careers. Like, I was like, no, because then I have to take a pay cut, like number one, and there's bills to pay. Number two, there's nothing else I really see myself doing. So it's like it's either project management or events. Like there's no other kind of option for me. But you know, I used the pandemic as a way to start talking about like my personal brand, and that's like opportunities such as this have come up and a load of other stuff. And it still shocks me because I'm like, I took it seriously, but I wasn't like aggressive with it the way some people were. I've seen a lot of people that were in events before that weren't like, you didn't really know of them. You knew they were in events, but now they're like everywhere. They're on every panel. They're at context. They're at this. They're at that. But yeah, it was just the creativity aspect that was like taken away.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't really do much because people were trying to save money. You weren't too sure if you'd be coming back with events or not. Like it was just, you know, you don't know how many people are going to turn up. If you want to spend a load of money and then no one turns up, it's a waste of your time. So it was just that aspect about pivoting to like project management and honing in on my skills about organization and thinking about systems and processes and stuff. It was beneficial. Yeah.
It's amazing that you adapted. So many of us were forced to adapt because none of us saw this coming. I know we've heard this, so none of us saw it coming. Now that events are happening, we are so hungry for events. And I genuinely mean that now. If everything's virtual, I'm a bit like, I'm going to wait for something in person because it's just so different. It's so different.
Exactly. 100%. And like, it's funny because Conference News reached out to me for like comment on how people were feeling about virtual in person. I was like, people want in-person events. Like they want to be around people again. They want to talk to people. They want to network. There's nothing that people want more. They don't want to sit in front of a computer. Considering that some of us are still working from home indefinitely or working from home X amount of days a week, like you're at a screen all the time. Like you actually just want that in person, like let's be together. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much they missed it until it was taken.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned actually as well, Dami, that like stuck with me, and I was like, I don't want to mix it, but I'll bring it in anyway. You said you're starting your own fashion brand. Let's talk about this because you said everything you do, you want to do with purpose. You've realized now you want to do purposeful events, and I love that because I've got a little story to tell you about Tony in a moment. Tell me first of all about this brand, where the idea come from, and why you just decided to do it.
So the idea actually comes from like my friends. Like I have a lot of friends that identify as masculine presenting females. And you know, they're part of the LGBTQIA community and they are the most amazing people. Like honestly, like my friends like Ro, Nana, Remy, Jean, like they are Lyra, like, there's a long list, like Vipa, Akila, like a long list of friends that I have that they are the most authentic people you will ever meet. And it was actually like All The Pronouns was born out of an idea or a conversation really with myself and Ro when we were in Portugal for the festival. And we were getting ready to head down to the beach and she was wearing like a pair of trunks and she was like, these trunks are so annoying, like they're so tight.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? They don't stretch? And she was like, they do, but not really. And I was like, that's weird. Like surely there should be like elastic in the trunks to like, you know, give a bit more space. And she's got hips. So like she was just like, no, they're so uncomfortable. And they've got this stupid lining inside. So I didn't think much of it. Went to the festival, had a great time. We came back home and then it was like 2019, end of the year. Someone tweeted something, Tanya Campus, who is another friend of mine. She tweeted and she was like, it's really annoying that like there aren't any underwear brands for masculine presenting females. Bro, I called Ro and I was like, is this a good idea? And we were going to do it together, but obviously Ro is also like on her own entrepreneurial journey where she does a podcast called Two Twos. She started the LGBTQIA therapy fund. Like, you know, she herself like doing a lot. So we were going to do it together and we didn't in the end, but she's like been an amazing consultant. So like I was thinking and I was like, all the pronouns, because I want the brand to be for all the pronouns. And when you abbreviate it, I love an abbreviation, ATP just made sense. And it was just from the fact that talking to her, and then I ran a survey and I was like to people, you know, what brands do you know of that cater to LGBTQIA individuals? Like, and they were like, none. And it was like, you know, it was like, wait, there's something missing here that isn't there. So the brand isn't necessarily just for individuals of the LGBTQIA community, but it is for all individuals inclusive of that community.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, brands do this thing where they do like, oh, it's unisex. And it's like, okay, but that's still binary.
Yeah.
You're basically still saying it's for male and female. I'm not saying that with all the pronouns. What I'm saying with all the pronouns is our clothing is for anybody. Because what we've done is we've come up with designs that could work for anybody. And whether you're comfortable in high-waisted briefs or you're comfortable in trunks, they work for you. Whether you're male, female, non-binary, or trans. Like, we're thinking more about comfortability and practicality as opposed to we want to make women's wear. We want to make men's wear. Like, it's not, we're just making clothes. And that's what it is with me. So it's essentially born out of like, you know, the body dysmorphia that individuals of the community feel when they have to go swimwear shopping. Like, so we're starting with swimwear, but the idea is to obviously grow into something a lot bigger. What's next? I don't know, but swimwear is something that I'm quite passionate about because I feel like it's lacking at the moment. So it was kind of born out of that. And it was really just from a conversation with my friend on holiday. And something I'd actually never considered like that she would be going through.
Yeah.
You know? And then I thought, wait, if you're going through it, then some of our other friends might be going through it. Like, this is weird. Like, why is that not? Why don't they make clothing properly? You know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of born out of that, and we got our samples, our first set of samples earlier last month. But I sprained my ankle, so obviously I haven't really been able to do much. But we're going to be doing like aggressively, just picking the pace up a bit. But it is my little passion project. And yeah, I just kind of want to make a difference in the world that kind of makes sense, and it makes sense for a lot of people. And I feel like ATP is actually going to be it's going to be a good innovative solution to a lot of people's problems.
That's so amazing because you even said it in the beginning. Brands keep getting things wrong, and I think brands get things wrong for loads of different groups all the time, and it is insane because it's like, well, who else? We need to step in and do this, right?
Exactly.
I love that you're doing that. I love that. And how are you managing that? So, is the plan to literally go full on launch? Like, what's the plan? When can we see this?
Like the plan? Oh God, I keep saying I need to actually set like a launch date because I keep stalling. But I do want to launch kind of like Q4 this year.
Okay.
So that's like the last 3 months of the year. Just in terms of people on like winter holidays, you know, some people tend to go like away for Christmas and stuff like that. So I'm in for that. But obviously, I'm kind of like currently trying to find individuals of the community to help me run like the campaign and think about like our like hero video and like what that looks like. Because for me, if I'm saying that I want my brand to be inclusive, it also needs to be inclusive with the people that I work with. So I've worked with a range of people to get the product to where it is. I've worked with women, I've worked with Black women, I've worked with white women. I've had a focus group that it consists of people, all the target audience that I'm trying to reach, essentially, all my kind of marketing personas. But I kind of do want the director of the shoot or the photographer or videographer, whatever it may be, but to be able to, like, of the community. So whether they're non-binary, whether they're trans, whether they're lesbian, whether they're gay, whether they're bisexual, like I just genuinely want that to be a core of it. Because I feel like it's very important that I can speak for cis individuals to an extent, and I've got family who can speak for cis individuals, but I also need the voice of those who, at the moment, go unheard in most campaigns to be at the forefront of speaking. Because the thing is, when you meet individuals that, like, you know, whether it's ethnic minorities, Black women, Asian women, etc., we can speak for the oppressions and the things that, you know, have happened to us. But what we also are very good at is knowing the other side of things. We're very much aware of the status quo. So no one needs to teach me about how to include cis individuals in campaigns. Like, I don't need to be taught that. Like, that's all I've seen.
Yeah.
But what I do need to be taught is how to include those who aren't seen, you know, who aren't represented. Because it's even like my friend Rose, funnily enough, like before I got on this call, she tweeted about the fact that she just was like, hey brands, we want to see masculine presenting lesbians in your campaigns. I'm talking about Mother's Day. You don't even think about it, do you?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think about it.
Yeah.
You just don't. So it's like, you know, that's why I need a voice, like who's on the team that will be like, actually, maybe let's do it like this.
Yeah.
Or how about we do this shot and then we switch to this shot, and it does what I need it to do. So yeah, Q4 of this year.
Hopefully. I cannot wait to see the event that gets launched with that. That's going to be insane. Honestly, you're putting your two babies in one place. That's going to be crazy. No pressure.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all.
Honestly, like, I could sit here and talk to you forever, but I know you're a busy lady. So I'm going to give you 2 more questions. The first, I just wanted to ask, what is in the pipeline? Other than that, what do you plan to do moving forward with your journey? Are you still sticking into events and launching that brand? Is there anything else we can expect from you?
I'm not launching anything else anytime soon. And that's an absolute promise. Like, the day I launch something, quote tweet me with this video. But I'm not. I have decided, like, for the foreseeable future, that what I'm doing is what I'm going to be doing until I can no longer do it, like physically. But obviously the plan is to grow in every aspect. So Dash to grow, so suddenly, but to hopefully start employing individuals to actually run events on my behalf. And, you know, it will be under Dash, but it will be kind of them running it, give them experience. I definitely want to work with a lot more women. I kind of want an all women team, as opposed to, you know, obviously you have to work with men in some capacity where needed, but I kind of want them to work on like the AV and the technical side, as opposed to the planning. Like, I definitely want like my strategy to be done by women. I want my event execution to be done by women. I want the marketing to be done by women. It's just very much like pushing women. So that's with Dash. And then with my artists, just managing them and just supporting them the way that I can. And obviously when we get around to touring, they both said, "You're tour manager." Like, here we go. Lovely. But yeah, so that will be there. And then obviously with ATP, it will just be to continue to grow it. All the it's an e-commerce brand, you know, distribution, etc. But I have a very supportive family and I have support, and so I can make it work in terms of like balancing those things, but not launching anything else anytime soon. I think it's important to recognize when you bite off a bit more than you can chew, and I definitely did that during the pandemic. So that I definitely like things to streamline, and that's why I realized that everything I kind of want to do sits in a pillar of either diversity and inclusion, music, culture, like those 3 things, which is why Nando's, when the job came about, it made sense for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to like going just back into corporate world, because that wouldn't have made sense to me. So everything I'm doing kind of has to align. So even if I'm working on like passion projects or pro bono board projects, because as part of Dash, we work with one kind of charity or CIC a year, and we work on their events for free, essentially. So like, you know, whether it is that, and sorry, I just lost my train of thought. That is really annoying. So yeah, but essentially we work with kind of one like CIC a year, and it's like to give back, and it is that whole, you know, working with culture or, you know, helping people. So everything kind of has to just align. And in the purpose of what the CIC are doing, it also has to align with like me as an individual. So the one that we're working with this year is Milk Honeybees, and they work with young women to kind of help them find their feet in life. And that's just like everything I would have wished I had. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it has to just make sense. So not launching anything anytime soon. Yes, we're thinking like, you know, I'm just trying to stick with what I've got.
Amazing. So, yeah. I didn't ask that question in the sense of you're not doing enough, because I'm just...
No, I know.
So, no, honestly, I'm in awe. You're doing so much. And you know what? I really mean this. I'm genuinely saying this. I love people that do things for a reason. And that's not to say, oh, you're doing something purpose. There's no purpose to what you're doing. I don't mean that to others. I just love it when people have a vision and really back it. And even if you're doing a project trying to involve those people you're trying to amplify voices for, I absolutely love that. And it's just, you come across so authentic. And at Nexus, literally what we talk about. You're welcome. We talk about authenticity, because it's so easy to try and copy others or think, oh, they're doing really well, let's do it that way. So my final question to you is, what would you say to others who maybe are in this industry or are doing something similar? How do you stay authentic, and what advice would you give to them when they're navigating the events world or just entrepreneurship?
I think it's important to always go with your gut.
Mm.
And the feeling of being uncomfortable is not one that you should run away from. Like, there are places that I've been very uncomfortable in, and this goes in two ways. So there's jobs I've been at that I'm uncomfortable in. I'm like, I'm just gonna stick it out. I'm just gonna, no, leave, and don't worry about how many months you've got on your CV at X job and whether you'll get a new one. Like, if you're good at what you do, you will always be okay. Like, whether that's launch your own thing or find a new job, or co-founding a company, like opportunities will come your way. But by staying where you're not comfortable, you're not happy, you're blocking your blessings. So that's first and foremost. Listening to your gut is the same thing. So it's like, something doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. And I think one of the things I've learned over the years is I have no problem walking away from money. So do not do things because of money. Like, always make sure they align with you. And it just, everything comes back to being uncomfortable, Like, if something makes you feel uncomfortable, don't feel like you have to do it because, oh, how am I going to pay this bill's months, or like this month's bills, or how am I going to do this, or how am I going to do that, right? It's like, it should sit, like, always try and be and have like integrity. Like, the only way to be authentic is if you actually just live the way that you believe you should live, right? Don't just take things on because it looks good, or it makes sense for somebody else. Like, let it make sense for you. And I think also it's like, don't seek validation from anybody else. Like, what will be, and what will come to you will come to you. So don't compete with others either. I think over the years I've seen people like, succeeding here and succeeding there. And like, whilst I'm still on my own journey, like, I'm just very comfortable in it. And I'm doing things at my own pace. I'm not rushing, and I'm not trying to run anyone else's race. Like, I'm on my own journey. I think networking is important. Like, network with people all the time, tell people what you're doing, speak to people, don't be afraid to promote yourself. You have to be your biggest cheerleader in life. And I think it's just definitely, authenticity is like, it's just one of those things that is, but if you feel like you're not being true to yourself and you're not living your most authentic life or the best version of yourself, then like, do some inward, like, reflection, and think about what is it that makes you feel like you can't do that. Because at the end of the day, it might be family, it might be friends that you need to cut off, and unfortunately, like, it's life. But like I said, it's life, but it's your life. So like, you have to live it the way you want to live it. So just addressing that and finding out where those elements are. And if it's a cultural thing, or if it's a heritage thing, or a family thing, like, sit down and read about it. Like, why is it this way? And if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. Like, it's not, you don't have to agree with it just because it's your culture. And it doesn't make you any less of that culture or that heritage because of the fact you disagree with it. So go with your gut, and really like push against those kind of like status quo norms, and the things that we've been taught, and the patriarchy and the misogyny. Like, push against everything that makes you feel uncomfortable, and surround yourself with people that align with the things that you align like with your values, because the more and more you're around those people, the more comfortable you'll feel, the easier it will get to live your life authentically. But yeah, you only have one life, so just, you've got to live it. Like, let's not be upset with it.
I know you said no more projects, but I'm sitting here thinking, podcast, please.
No, I can't.
You have to think about that. I'm being deadly serious. I could listen
People
to
said
you all
it.
day.
People have said it, but I find the world of podcasting quite pretentious.
Yeah, do you know what was? I actually get you, and I think guys have destroyed podcasting. I'm not going to. Oh my god, that's why we need you to make a podcast, like revamp this.
Fair enough.
Okay,
No, it could come. Never know.
You are freaking awesome. I know you don't need validation from anyone. I'm just telling you, this was so worth it. You're freaking crazy, but awesome at the same time. And I wish you nothing but the best for all your ventures. I can't wait to see what comes out from you in the next few months. And when you launch, hopefully, your new brand, I honestly can't wait. And I know quite a few cool people that might be what you're looking for that shoot.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot them my way. Definitely, 100%. That sounds amazing.
I will. Well, have a lovely day. Thank you so much for coming to me.
And hopefully, like, let's keep in touch. Definitely.
Definitely. Let's do it. All right.
Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.